What's up, players? The Dark Knight was next on my list for a starter kit guide, and here we are. Wait, hold on. This isn't right. Let's back that up.
Sink into darkness.
So much darker. And now that awkward moment's out of the way, let's move on with the guide. As is tradition for my tank starter kits, I'll be covering the AoE rotation, defensives, single target rotation, and class utility. I'm going to change up the format a bit from my previous guides, and I'm going to consolidate the aspects of the dungeon pulling video I did into this first pack pull showing AoE rotation. You'll be seeing the current defensive cooldown ability being used in real time on this pull in the bottom right section of the frame. The foundation of your AoE rotation is going to be comprised of the basic combo of Unleash and Stalwart Soul. This is going to give you 360 degree coverage as well as passively generate MP and blood gauge. It's always a good idea to start your defensive rotation off with a cast of the Blackest Night when you get a healthy group stacked up on you to get your absorb shield up, as well as to feed into your first Dark Arts proc that you'll be using on the line AoE and Dark Side Gauge builder Flood of Shadow. Quietus is going to be your AoE blood gauge spender. And if you know you won't need Delirium anytime soon for a boss, handcuff those two skills together for more damage between your Unleash combos. I'll go into more detail regarding Delirium usage in the single target section of the video. We all know that everyone who plays a Dark Knight wants to be the nicest player out there, so helping our healers by using Abyssal Drain at opportune times will provide some AoE damage as well as self-healing. You'll want to use it when you're at a considerable health deficit and when you have plenty of targets to connect with. And finally, our least impressive AoE ability, Salted Earth, you'll want to drop and cover as many targets as possible to get the most potency out of it. Alright, let's take a look at the Dark Knight defensive kit. Blackest Night, which I'll abbreviate to TBN from now on, is arguably one of the strongest forms of mitigation out there. It can be used both on yourself and on teammates, and it provides a 25% of health absorb shield and will feed into your damage output by giving you a Dark Arts proc if the shield is consumed. Dark Arts will then make your next Edge or Flood of Shadow free of mana cost. This is where tactical TBN usage is key. Ideally, you'll always want to use TBN when you're reasonably certain the entirety of the absorb shield will be utilized. Large pack dungeon pulls are a great example of easy Dark Arts gains as well as tank busters. Weaving the standard tank roll actions like Rampart, Arm's Length, and Reprisal in between your TBNs is a very effective way to maintain defensive uptime. Remember, the overall strategy for those girthy dungeon pulls is to string out all of your defensives over the longest period of time while not overlapping very frequently. TBN can be used alongside other defensives like Rampart or Arm's Length as needed to provide dark side uptime and further healer assistance. Shadow Wall is going to be your 30% damage reduction for both physical and magic, and Dark Mind is going to be a 20% magic only reduction, so be aware of the type of damage you're looking to mitigate and use those accordingly. Dark Missionary brings us into the next stop on the Seductive Ability Innuendo train, and this is just like Heart of Light on the Gunbreaker. It's going to provide your group 10% magic damage reduction for 15 seconds. Living Dead is your invulnerability and can be the most cumbersome one to use, as your healers will be required to heal your total hit points within 10 seconds or you're going to die anyway. And to close up the defensives, Low Blow and Interject are your stun and interrupt respectively. Moving into the single target side of the house, your basic combo will be Hard Slash, Siphon Strike, and Soul Eater. Completion of this combo will provide small health, MP, and blood gauge gains. Unmend is your ranged pull, and Plunge is your gap closer. Now that the boring stuff is out of the way, let's talk about our Delirium Burst window. Delirium allows you to use your gauge spenders like Blood Spiller for single target at no cost, and you will want to do your best to fit 5 of these spenders into this window while double weaving between your GCDs. In preparation for this phase, you'll want to have a good amount of mana ready and, if possible, a Dark Arts on deck so you can weave in your Edge of Shadow off global between Blood Spillers. In the best case scenario, you fire off Delirium shortly before your GCD comes up and get your first Blood Spiller out. You then weave one of your off global abilities like Carve and Spit, Abyssal Drain, or Plunge combined with an Edge of Shadow for each one of the Blood Spillers you put on the target. This way you get 2 off globals in between each Blood Spiller. You also may have noticed my Shadow Bro was summoned shortly before my Delirium delivery sequence. Living Shadow costs 50 blood gauge and will bring your better half into the battle to fight alongside you. It does take 5 or 6 seconds for him to actually get going, so getting him out there preemptively before your burst window is a good idea. While we're closing out the single target and Delirium section, our last ability on the list is Blood Weapon. This has a similar duration as Delirium and will return mana for each GCD you land while the buff is up, so you'll also be shooting to get 5 GCDs squeezed in here as well to get the most out of it and replenish your mana when needed. Overall, you'll want to ensure that during and in between these Delirium windows you're not overcapping on mana or blood gauge, and you're maintaining your dark side buff uptime. My feelings towards the Dark Knight have really improved since picking it back up. When Shadowbringers released, I jumped at the chance to be a gunbreaker, and as my previous videos will show, I thoroughly enjoyed the gun breaking, and it has a special place in my heart. But playing the Dark Knight has started to make me realize that I may not have a heart at all, and the desire to go full edgelord is definitely rising. I think that the class is a dramatic improvement over its Stormblood iteration, and it's an absolute monster in dungeons. There's some small quality of life and potency changes that I wouldn't mind seeing in the class for future patches, but time will tell what Master Yoshi has in store for those who have already become what they must. That brings us to the end of our dark time together here, players. Normally I would drop a demo of whatever the current optimized opener is from the Balanced Discord at the end of these starter kit videos, but given the nature of this being a beginner's guide and in the spirit of learning approach, I've started to think that's a bit counterproductive to an introduction, and is best saved for later, more advanced discussion. So with that said, I'll be seeing you all in the next one, which will likely be for the Summoner or the Warrior. Throw comments my way and hit that subscribe button with notifications if you're down for it, and as always, thanks for watching.
Don't turn the lights on.